Nice, you listen to Chocolate on Lesson Radio.
Àgbẹ̀ ò sí nílùú ọ̀dàgbòde. When farmers are on strike, hunger strikes. That's why farmers are crucial to every community and the nation at large. In that light, join Afiz Olumide on Voice of the Farmers, Ohùn Àwọn Àgbẹ̀, as we talk about the essentiality of farming in every community. Also to encourage young people in and into farming. Wàá gbọ́ bí a ó ti mọ̀ fọ̀rọ̀ wá àwọn àgbẹ̀ tí wọ́n ti làmìlaka lẹ́nu iṣẹ́ wọn lẹ́nu wò lórí àwọn ọ̀nà àgbà ṣe àṣeyọrí nídìí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ pẹ̀lú àwọn ìrírí lóríṣiríṣi. Are the first-hand information about experiences, achievement stories, and challenges of successful farmers in different farming fields. Tune in to Lagos State University Radio 95.7 FM every Tuesday from 2:30 to 3 p.m. on Voice of the Farmers, Ohùn Àwọn Àgbẹ̀. Make sure you do not miss it.
Bàbá fẹ́ bọ́ lọ́wọ́ ebi nílẹ̀ yìí. Iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀, ká ṣiṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ló lè gbà wá lọ́wọ́ ebi.
I wanted to tell you that when you
bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bàbá fẹ́ bọ́ lọ́wọ́ ibi nílẹ̀ yìí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ ló lè gbà wá lọ́wọ́ ibi. àfihàn káàbọ̀ sórí ètò ètò yín tá a pè ní Voice of the Farmer, Ohùn Àwọn Àgbẹ̀, ní ìkànnì Lasu Radio 95.7 FM, níbi tí a ti máa ń yànnàná àwọn nǹkan tó wá jọmọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ nípa àwọn àgbẹ̀ ní ìkànnì yìí. Lónìí àgbọ̀n náà rọ́bà torí pé nǹkan tá a fẹ́ gbéyàwó lónìí nǹkan tó yẹ pé yóò ṣe èmi àti yín láǹfààní lórí ètò tá a pè ní Voice of the Farmer lónìí ni. Ẹ jẹ́ ká dókè lọ́nà, mò ń bọ̀. bẹ́ẹ̀ ni yàtọ̀ sóhun tẹ́hun oúnjẹ ó láwọn nǹkan míì jẹ́ pé a lè ṣe nídìí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀ kó ṣe kó bóyá nǹkan tẹ́nu oúnjẹ nìkan ni ó láwọn nǹkan tá a lè ṣe nídìí iṣẹ́ àgbẹ̀. Olúmídé ní orúkọ tèmi, àwọn èèyàn ló ń pè mí lọ́rin àwọn àgbẹ̀ torí kó mọ̀ pé mo fẹ́rẹ̀ àwọn àgbẹ̀ dáadáa. Tàbá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nípa pé nǹkan tó jẹ́ pé yóò mọ̀ gbé àwọn àgbẹ̀ lárugẹ, nǹkan tí èmi máa ń yàn láàyò gangan nìyẹn. Mò ń kí yín káàbọ̀ lẹ́ẹ̀kan sẹ́yìn bá ṣe ń darapọ̀ wá lórí ètò yìí tá a pè ní Voice of the Farmer ní ìkànnì Lasu Radio 95.7 FM. Ohùn Àwọn Àgbẹ̀ láti fi síta. Ẹ rí i pé ní àyà àjẹjọ a lè ṣètò lórí ìkànnì yìí, ó ní bó ṣe jẹ́, kò ṣe pé bóyá ó wù wá náà, iṣẹ́ tí ẹran wa náà la lọ jẹ́. Àmọ́ lẹ́nìí a mú wá fún yín dára torí pé a fẹ́ fún yín láwọn ọ̀rọ̀ tí ẹ gbé ẹ gbọ́dọ̀ mọ̀ gẹ́gẹ́ bí àgbẹ̀. Ẹ rí i pé tá a bá wọ̀ gbòòrò kan, ẹ rí i pé àwọn nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ níta, tá a bá sọ̀rọ̀ nípa weather condition, ó lágbára díẹ̀ torí pé climate change, àwọn kan tẹ̀ sọ pé kò sí nǹkan tó ń jẹ́ climate change, but I want to tell you today that yes, climate change is real and it has come to stay. Then we need to look into how can we mitigate the effect of climate change. So today on our show today, I think before we do bring in guests to come and talk to us about the particular things on the show, but today we want to talk to ourselves. Let us advise ourselves as a farmer. Maybe you are an existing farmer or intending farmers. How do you even think we can mitigate the effect of this climate change? Now, we need to understand what climate change is, what are the causes of climate change, and how can we mitigate the effect of climate change. I think that is what we are going to be looking. My name is Garba Afiz Olumide once again. So we are going to be talking about climate change because it is really affecting farmers, or you are a livestock farmer. Definitely climate change is affecting us. So let's look at how can we mitigate the effect and what are the things we can do. So let's
because I rushed away from the house at home. Is it leaving now? I think so. Yeah, tell him to come back.
tomorrow.
Yeah.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni bàbá fẹ́ kí ebi pa wá kí àmà bà jẹ wá torí pé bẹ́ẹ̀ bá wò dáadáa kí tiẹ̀ tó lọ síbi tí mo fẹ́ lọ lénìí ẹni pé torí pé Yorùbá sọ pé àríkà ni àríkà ni bàbá rẹ̀. Èkó initiative, that is where we go to different centers around our community to buy food at 25% discount. I think that is a very massive one that we need to appreciate our governor for that. I think they have been doing this for the past 3 weeks now. I think it's going to end by maybe this weekend. So we want to say it reduced the effect of hardship and let me say food insecurity in the country. So we are saying a very big thank you to you, sir. So but you know, one of the things is that appreciation is an application for more. So we are using this video to call on the governor again. Please, we need more of this because to be sincere with you, things are not really going well in the country. You know, removal of the subsidy and some other stuff like that is really affecting like this that will really assist the masses and at least reduce the effect of the subsidy removal and some other things as well. So going back to what we want to talk about today, it is very important to understand what we want to talk about before we now look at the causes and what are the effects of that thing. Now talking about climate change, climate change, climate change. Now in a layman's language, it means àyípadà ojú ọjọ́. Climate change means, okay, now when you say that is the change in the weather condition of an environment. That is what climate change means. Like, okay, let's say probably a few years ago we know when rain do start. Yes, it is okay. Maybe let's say by this time around we should be having rain, probably if not frequently, at least once in a while. But now you can see, I think the last time rainfall was probably like maybe close to a month now, which is very, very difficult. I think it even wanted to rain yesterday, but we are very happy that there will be rain today, but unfortunately it doesn't. So that is what we call climate change. Like when environment, that's what we call climate change. Now climate change don't just come to play. There's something that really causes climate change. So we need to look at what are the causes of climate change and how. I'll be talking about how it really affects agriculture. That is how it affects farmers. What are the effects that this climate change has on farmers? So, but we need to understand what are the causes of this climate change. When there is a atmospheric weather condition, that is a change in the weather condition of a particular environment, there is definitely a cause for it. So it's not as if this thing just come like that and it happens like that. There is something that causes it. And I think I will want to use this medium to call on everybody, every one of us, that some of the effects, some of the cause are caused by us. Let me just be sincere with ourselves. We are the people that cut down trees. We are the people that dump our refuse like in any place that we wish. So I think these are one of the reasons that cause these are one of the causes of effect of climate change. Let me say the causes of climate change now. When you cut down trees, that is what we call deforestation. It really has effect on climate change. It really has effect on climate because we're talking about afforestation. The government said when you cut down a tree, make sure you plant two. But because of some reasons, we will cut down trees and we don't even bother to plant it back. And trees, they have effect. Definitely, we have one cordial relationship between the let me say the livestock, that is we human being now, and the trees. They are really doing a lot of things for us. But just cut down that tree, you don't even bother to think of planting it back again, and this thing are having effect. Also the use of, let me say, fossil fuel as well. Probably you see so combustion from maybe different vehicles, like you just see that thing coming from that vehicle. When they go to the atmosphere, they cause what we call ozone layer, and these are some of the things that really cause climate change. So we are really look at what are the causes of climate change now. So let's see how does this thing affect agriculture. My own is just about agriculture and environment now, so we need to look at how does it affect agriculture. Now looking at the effect of climate change, it has really reduced our production, our productivity. Before, probably let's say maybe a few years ago, we do harvest like 10 tons of tomato, 10 tons of pepper, 10 tons of this, 10 tons of that. But because of the effect of climate change, it has really, really affected our production. Because now when there is too much sun on what you are planting, believe me, it will not do well. That is just it. Some of us, I will tell us some of the things that we can use to mitigate the effect, but we need to know the effect on agriculture now. When you have too much intensity of sun on your plant, vegetables, if we don't have something that will cover that intensity of, so it really has effect on our plants. Also looking at the livestock aspect as well, looking at the poultry. I saw a video sometimes on social media where some poultry farmers, they went to buy ice block because of the heat. Looking at the heat, that even we that we are human beings, that we can always look for ways to try and at least go around to see what we can do to solve the issue of heat. We are complaining. Now to talk of livestock that they don't even have mouth to talk. They cannot tell you anything. How do they want to do about it? So now some poultry farmers went ahead and get ice block and put it in some of their drinkers so that the poultry bird can get maybe cold water to drink, just to reduce the effect of heat. Because when they are too much, when they have too much heat on them, to be sincere with you, is really going to affect. That is when we are going to be having culture. I think one of the reasons, probably from research, one of the reasons that do cause mortality at this moment now, when you check the temperature of your water and you can see that the temperature is high, you should know which can really affect your your aquatic animals now, probably be it catfish or be it maybe tilapia. So now, when there is too much sun on that water, it's really going to get hot. That is just, you don't have two way to that. So one of the things you can do is just for you to do what we call flow through. So as the water is going out, another water should be coming in. So that you can use it to mitigate the effect of climate change on that aquaculture. So now we have really talked about how these things are affecting us, affecting our plant. It's going to really reduce our production rate. And looking at what we are facing in the country now, we're talking about food insecurity. So we cannot even afford to reduce our production rate. So how can we now mitigate the effect of this climate change? Now, believe me, climate change has come and it has come to stay. Anybody we cannot do anything to that. It has come and it has come to stay. So the only thing is just for us to look for ways on how can we mitigate the effect of climate change. So we've already talked about what climate change is, what are the causes of climate change, and now how do we mitigate the effect of climate change. Now, looking at mitigating the effect of climate change, let me start with the crop farmers, because especially the vegetable farmers, their production are perishable goods. Let me say within 2, 3, 4, 5 days, if they do not have good storage facility, their product is going to spoil. So now, even before you harvest, how can you mitigate the effect? Yes, mulchin, mulching. So what does that mean? It's just a process in which you use a material to cover your plant, not the whole plant. Now the roots, what really give the food to the plant, both the stem, the flower, everything is the root. Now, so what we need to do is just for us to look for a way to cover that root so that the intensity of the sun will not really affect that root. That is what we call mulching. So, and we have different mulching materials. We have the nylon, we have the dried leaf as well. Some of us, when you cut down the grasses in your farm, on your farm, or maybe you weed, what you need to do is just don't throw those weed away. And if you don't want to use that, you can go ahead and buy nylon. They have mulching materials at the market that they sell that you can just use to cover the roots of your plant. This mulching material, they do two things now. The first thing they do is that is on your farm. When you have something that cover the ground, weed will not definitely grow from there. Another thing is just that it's going to help you to reduce the intensity of the sun under your plant. It is very, very important, because when the sun is too much, and be it if you are using drip irrigation, or you are using maybe you are using overhead, or you are using anyone, definitely if the sun is too much, what you are supposed to use maybe for like maybe 2 or 3 hours, it's just going to work for like maybe 30 minutes. Then you need to put another water again. So that means you need to look for a way to reduce the intensity of the. So let us just go on this short break, and when I come back, we're going to talk more about how to mitigate the effect of climate change. Thank you.
Hold on, I can see that you were catching your breath when we were talking. That's why I wanted you to take a break. Why are you not bringing guests again? You want them to rest?
After Ramadan, yes, we'll start again.
You ready?
Now, one of the reasons why we are talking about how to mitigate the effect of climate change is just for us to increase our production, that is our productivity as a farmer. So you need to understand what are the things you can do as a farmer to increase your productivity. So it is very, very important. So we've talked about mulching materials now. So you can use maybe weed, that is dry weed, maybe the one you cut down on your tree, on your farm, just to at least make sure you use it to cover your plants. We've been seeing this before, but we don't just put, we think it's just for maybe for fancy sake or something. People that are using that, they know the reason why they are doing it. So one of the reasons how we can mitigate the effect of climate change is just to use those mulching materials to cover our plants. Another thing we can do to mitigate the effect of climate change is what we call afforestation. Looking at the climate change as well, sometimes you just see the wind will just come with that every wind that can even bring down some of the plants that you have on your farm. So what are the things you can do? One of the things you can do is just what we call tree planting. Plant trees on your farm, maybe at the edges of your farm. Maybe you can use it as fence or something like that. One of the things this thing is going to do is just it will serve as a shed for some of your plants, some of your maybe your plant that need a shed to grow well. When the sun is too much on them, they will never do well. So serve as a windbreaker for some of these plants as well. When wind is blowing, an heavy wind is blowing, now definitely they can serve as a windbreaker for all this your plant that you have on your farm as well. So when you do afforestation, it's going to reduce the effect of climate change as well. I can see some of us, if it is possible for us to pull our clothes and be walking on the street, I think we can do that now because the heat is too much. What is the cause of this heat? I think it is just climate change. Now we are talking about, as a farmer, what are the things you can do to mitigate the effect of climate change? The first thing we talk about is mulching material. That is mulching, using mulching material, either using a nylon to cover the soil. That is, you cover the soil just root to just suck the water. Now another thing is also what I just talk about now is just afforestation. You serve as a shade for your plant and also a windbreaker as well. So another thing is practicing a good irrigation system. Now looking at this season now, it is very, very hot. So that means if or you are using any other irrigation system, the water will get dry almost immediately. And now your plant need water almost every time. System that you are going into, now there is no rain. Then because there is no rain, I'm not going to eat. So that means we need to look for alternative. That is what we call irrigation. So you need to go for the right irrigation system for you to use, especially if you are a vegetable farmer. I think the best irrigation system for vegetable farmers are, let me say, the first one is drip irrigation, because this will allow the water to go in directly at the down part of the root. Let me say they are very close to the root. You are going to see that it's going to get wet because the water is going to be all the water that you have under your plant. You can see all this method, or you are, maybe even if it is a cassava farmer or anyone, what you just need to do is just look for a proper irrigation system that really fits into the crop or the plant that you are going into at that particular moment. Also, another thing we can do as a farmer is also to look into what we call crop calendar. As some of us as a farmer, we just plant anytime. We just think, let me just plant this one at a particular time. That every season has something that goes for that season. The only time that you can plant anything you want, or the only system that you can use to plant anything you want, is maybe when you are in a green at a particular time. But if you are not doing that, if you are doing an open field planting, definitely that use what we call crop calendar to say, okay, because Mr. Taiwo is doing vegetable, let me also go for vegetable. Maybe Mr. Taiwo has a greenhouse system, that is why it goes for vegetable at that particular time. Of climate change is for us to go on your plant. So that means you need to understand the crop that you want to plant. Don't just plant because you want to plant because you know what stand. We need to embrace what we call the status of my plant. So you need to understand it. So there's some application. You should not just be a farmer now, you should be a smart farmer. It is a smart farmer that we have a smartphone that we know that, okay, when I see this problem and how can I solve the crop farmers now. So let's look into the livestock farmers as well, because they have some things they can also do to mitigate the effect of climate change. So I think we just need to go on this short musical break. So when we come back from this break, we'll be talking about what the livestock farmers can do just to mitigate the effect of climate change as well. Thank you.
Ìyà má jẹ wá o, gbàdá nílẹ̀ tá a tún lómi, gbàdá nílẹ̀ tá a tún lómi, ilẹ̀ wa dá fún gbogbo irúgbìn, ojú ọjọ́ dá fún wa nílẹ̀ yìí o, ìyà má jẹ wá o.
Yes, ilẹ̀ wa dára nílẹ̀ yìí. Yes, we have a good land, we have a fertile land, but some of us don't really understand how effect of climate change. So another thing I want to talk about before I go into the livestock is just what some of us don't really understand. Our soil, some of our soil are talking to us, but we don't really understand what they're saying. Some of the things we need to understand as a farmer is before you go into a new planting season, there are some things you need to do, what we call soil test. I don't even think some farmers do that. You need to understand what are the nutrients, both the macro and the micronutrient that you have inside your soil before you go into your planting season. And some of us, we don't really understand that it is very important for you as a farmer to look into how can I reduce my cost of production. I think it's very, very important. So now, some of us will just spend more, and why we just need to spend less. Some of us, because we see farmer A using fertilizer, we think the next thing for us is to go and buy fertilizer as well. Well, that is only what you need. But because you are seeing farmer A, you want to be doing competition. You don't know why farmer A is buying fertilizer. You don't know. That means you need to go into other things. You need to understand what you need to do. So I think I will just talk about what the livestock farmers are going to be doing when they come to the how to mitigate the effect of climate change as well. So especially the fish farmers, that is aquaculture, every now and then. And how do you solve this problem is that you need to see how can you always run a flow through system. When the water is coming in, the water should be going out. So it's going to help you to maintain that temperature. So when the one you have there is hot and you have another one coming in as well, the hot one will go out while the cold, the one with good oxygen will come in. So with this, you can always, if you are a tilapia farmer or you are a fish farmer, a catfish farmer, you can run what we call flow through system, and it's going to give you a very good result. Also for poultry farmers as well, make sure you look at your drinker very well. When your water is hot, I think it's better you get an ice block to put there so that it's going to reduce the heat. It is about how to mitigate the effect of by doing what we call mulching, understanding the crop calendar, understanding what we call afforestation, and also doing checking our dissolved oxygen as well. By we are going to have a very good production. So I want to use this medium to say a very big thank you to my producer, that is in person of Chocolate. I think she's doing a very to all our listeners as well. Thank you for joining us on this program. So till I come your way next time, I'll be bringing guests next week by God's grace, just to come and tell us some things they are facing on their farm and how they've been able to mitigate those effects, and especially on climate change as well. So till I come your way next time, my name is Garuba Fizolumide. I am the voice of the farmer. I am also your farmer as well. Till I come your way next time, I say bye bye and God bless.
All done.
Yàtọ̀ sóhun tẹ́nu jẹ.